Okay, so today we are going to be watching the remake of Cinderella from 1957, which stars the one, the only Julie Andrews. I honestly did not even know that this version existed, so I'm excited and I'm ready. Before we get started, please remember to subscribe and at least flirt with that like button before hitting it. Thanks for watching and enjoy. So, before the movie starts, we get a little intro of Julie giving us a little bit of background on the film. She mentions that this production was actually filmed on live television, which is pretty impressive. That means just one take, one shot to get everything right without making any mistakes. Can I also just say that Julie Andrews is amazing? She's honestly one of a kind, so I can't really see how this can go bad.
So, please join us for this journey back to the golden age of television with Rodgers and Hammerstein's magical Cinderella.
So the movie begins with this thick, bearded man shouting something. I don't know. I originally thought he was saying the prince is going to the mall, but it turns out he's saying the prince is giving a ball.
His Royal Highness Christopher Rupert, Windermere, Vladimir, Karl Alexander, Francois Reginald, Lancelot Herman.
I again got confused here. I thought maybe he was listing a bunch of different people, perhaps, that were invited to the ball, but I'm pretty sure he's just listing the prince's full name, which is incredibly long. His full name is Christopher Rupert, Windermere, Vladimir, Karl Alexander, Francois Reginald, Lancelot Herman. Pretty sweet name. I feel like the longer your name is, the more important you are. But then again, there's Madonna, Prince, and Obama. So there goes that whole argument. We then get some random clips of women that are reacting to the news that there is a ball, and they say some interesting things. One woman says she basically wishes she wasn't married.
I wish I hadn't married Sam.
Then there's this cute little girl pouting, and I'm gonna be honest, after rewinding this part like 5 times, I have no idea what she's saying.
Hey, I'm in the second round.
Another woman is worried about her weight.
I wish I didn't like to eat.
One girl wishes she was demure and sweet, and then she takes a shot. Another woman is worried she is too young. Another thinks she's too old. And then that same little girl from before comes back. And again, I'm sorry, I have no clue what she's saying. We then get into a little musical bit with people literally yelling that there's a ball. It's a little aggressive. This is when we get a first look at the stepmother and the two stepsisters. Stepmom is literally wearing a lampshade on her head. One of the sisters is dressed like the Queen of Hearts, and the other has a big white feather in her hair. And yeah, obviously, I don't know their names. And then the Julie Andrews, the Cinderella, comes into frame. And I can't get over how young Julie Andrews looks in this, but she has always looked great. She's carrying a bunch of boxes slash presents, which are obviously empty because she's not struggling with them at all, but that's okay. We will ignore it because it's Julie Andrews, and you guys, she can't do anything wrong, okay? The next thing you know, these little demon children start playing and forming a circle around her just to be evil. Where are your parents? We then get a little taste of how badly Cinderella is treated, and they begin with the whole Cinderella do this, Cinderella do that.
Cinderella, close the windows. Cinderella, my chair. Cinderella, close the windows. Cinderella, my chair.
The stepmother then asks to speak with her daughters, which does not include Cinderella. She starts plotting and trying to come up with a game plan on how to snag the prince, and I completely spaced out when she was speaking because I just could not stop looking at the lampshade on her head. I mean, it's captivating, but I snapped out of it when I heard the sister with the big white feather laughing. It's an extra special laugh. And then the Queen of Hearts sister, she really doesn't say much except this. And there are a lot more uh-huhs to follow. The stepmom then suggests nap time to the sisters to get beauty sleep, and the sisters get into a weird fight about who's more tired. I don't know.
You're tired. Yes, I'm tired. I suppose you think you're the only one that's tired. Who bought the mouse? That has nothing to do with it. It has everything.
We then go back to Cinderella, who is getting started on her cleaning routine, and she gives us a little song and dance. She sings the In My Own Little Corner, in My Own Little Chair song. I don't know if you remember the Brandy remake of Cinderella that aired on the Disney Channel, but she sang the same song, and I honestly had no idea that this was the original, so it was an extra special learning moment for me. After a very long song, we get to see the prince's parents, who are actually pretty funny and quite sassy. They talk about how their son is not happy and how he has not shown any interest in getting married while still finding ways to throw shade at each other.
How could I have gained so much weight in 5 years?
Because that's all you've done for 5 years, gained weight.
The parents then get started on the plans and preparations for the wedding, and then, of course, break out into song about how expensive it's going to be for them. We then meet the prince, who tells his father he's not jazzed about having this ball, and his dad is like, cool, but can you at least tell your mother you're excited to make her happy? The prince does agree. The problem is that the mom is eavesdropping on their whole conversation, and she walks in on them.
Now, I tell you. Oh, hello, my dear. Hello, Christopher and I.
I was just saying, Mother, how much I'm looking forward to the ball. It sounds wonderful.
Does it?
She's like, oh, does it? Does it really? She then says, I hate you and I wish I never gave birth to you. I'm kidding. She doesn't say that at all. She just plays along thing like she believes it. The day of the ball is now here, and everyone's getting ready, getting fancy and dressed up, and the queen is randomly dusting, which I don't quite understand. Cinderella is back at the house helping her sisters get ready because she, of course, was not invited. Sadly, there's no Project Runway mice who style Cinderella and make her a dress, meaning there is no iconic girl fight between her and her stepsister. Next, we get to see the fairy godmother, which she looks she looks pretty cool. She has a whimsical look to her with her veil, and she's got pretty sick eye glitter, but she does not sing the bibbity boppity boo song. Instead, it's more of like a fiddly dee song instead, or something like that. Instead of magic, she instead tries talking some sense into Cinderella. Like, girl, you're doing all this work in the house. You're not even getting paid. Like, why don't you just leave? But Cinderella is like, no, it's not what my father would have wanted. Cinderella starts describing her perfect dream and what it would be like attending the ball, which is followed by this really awkward laugh from the fairy godmother. They then sing the song Impossible, which, again, the first time I heard this was in that same Brandy version of Cinderella, and it was sang by Whitney Houston.
Impossible for a plain yellow pumpkin to become a golden carriage. Impossible.
The magic begins with some sweet special effects with a sparkler, and the pumpkin outside turns into a carriage equipped with a horse and this guy. We then get to see the dress transformation, but actually we don't because Cinderella's dress is hiding under a robe. I have not seen this in any other Cinderella remake, but the fairy godmother actually goes with Cinderella to the ball. Apparently, she thinks it's ladies' night. They then leave, and on the way, they sing their Impossible song once again, which is kind of slightly amazing.
And because this afternoon I don't keep building up impossible hopes, impossible things are happening every day.
The ball officially begins, and we have the prince dancing with multiple women looking either really miserable or really constipated. He's introduced to woman after woman, but is not impressed. He's a picky boy, but his mother doesn't care. She's having the time of her life. The stepmother does some scheming to get the Queen of Hearts' daughter. I think her name is actually Joy. She gets Joy to dance with the prince, and of course her sister with the big feather gets jealous and tells her mother, I want a chance at him. Cinderella then arrives in her carriage, and the fairy godmother tells her that she's not coming inside with her. Not sure why she rode up with her in the first place, but anyways, she then explains to Cinderella that she does have a curfew and she can only stay until the clock strikes 12. The godmother leaves, but not before one more awkward laugh. The other sister with the big feather still don't know her name. She's now dancing with the prince when suddenly he stopped because Cinderella has just entered the room and he cannot take his eyes off of her. He stares at her for an uncomfortable amount of time and she still hasn't even taken off her robe yet. When she does, he walks straight up to her, they start dancing, and all of a sudden, he's a different boy. Everyone, including the parents, are like, who is she?
Who is she? Who is she?
Who is she?
Who is she? Who is she?
Who is she? I never saw the girl.
The prince and Cinderella go off to have a private conversation where they then confess their love to each other in song, which the song is literally about how they've only known each other for like 10 minutes.
10 minutes ago I met you, and we murmured, ah, how do you do? I wanted to ring out the bells and fling out my arms and to sing out the news.
We then get back-to-back songs because these stepsisters sing a song about how Cinderella is overrated and how they want to break her arm.
Why would a fellow want a girl like her, a frail and fluffy beauty? Why can't a fella ever once prefer a solid girl like thee?
She's a frothy little bauble with a flimsy kind of charm, and with very little trouble, I could break her little arm.
The stepmother is actually taking the whole ordeal quite well because she found herself a little something. Julie gives her stepmothers this classic look when out of nowhere the fairy godmother shows up. I thought you weren't coming, and now you're doing way too much. We then get some dancing, and even more dancing. Then the prince takes Cinderella to the side once again. She refuses to tell him her name, but
Whatever your name is, I love you.
the prince is like, whatever your name is, not important, I don't care, I love you. Instead of Cinderella saying it back, she cannot be bothered. She's like, I'm actually sleeping right now. I need a nap, so if you could stop. He continues confessing his love to her and sings her a little lover's lullaby.
Do I want you because you're wonderful, or are you wonderful because I want you?
Everything is going fine until Cinderella realizes the time and she's like, oh snap, gotta go, bye. The prince chases her out and finds the pumpkin and, of course, the glass slipper. He then makes it his mission to find her. The next day, Cinderella is back at home and talking to her stepmother and her sisters about how their night was. She's asking all these questions about how it went. She asks if they got the chance to dance with the prince, and they just start laughing. They're like, did we dance with the prince? That's so cute. Then the stepmom starts bragging about how she knew everyone at the party, everyone except for this random chick who showed up, and Cinderella then asks her, well, did she dance with the prince? And their reaction is like, just like once. We then go back to the castle where the prince is telling the father about the slipper and that it belongs to Cinderella and that he must find her. To do that, he is going to send out a guardsman to every home in order to find her. There are lines of women outside waiting to try on this shoe, but apparently no one wears the same shoe size in this town. That or her feet are freakishly small. Sisters try on the slipper, but it does not fit, and for some reason, Cinderella is nowhere in the home. Right when the prince is about to give up, poof, Cinderella and the godmother just magically show up in the castle, and everyone is like, what, what are you doing here? Instead of the fairy godmother giving a logical explanation, she accuses Cinderella of a crime and they tell her they are going to arrest her. It makes perfect sense. The fairy godmother then says, before you send her off to jail, you should totally just have her try on the slipper, just for funsies. Then the laugh. They try the slipper on and it's a perfect fit. Again, the laugh.
Well, it was his
The
highness
prince
story,
comes
surprise,
out
surprise.
and Cinderella is all embarrassed because she's wearing her cleaning outfit. But Prince Christopher doesn't care. He said he loves her and damn it, he meant it. Now that Cinderella is to marry the prince, the stepmother and the stepsisters, they are all acting brand new. They're all of a sudden waiting hand and foot on Cinderella, acting like they're all BFFs. We are now at the final scene, which is the wedding. I was loving Cinderella's wedding look. It's amazing, including her hair, but I was quite disappointed to see that the stepmother and the stepsisters were included in the wedding. They didn't have any consequences. They didn't banish them from town or make them palace servants. Anyways, I understand that this was a more lighthearted version of the story, so I'll let it go. The film concludes with the rest of the wedding ceremony, and they all live happily ever after. This was a super cute movie. Again, throughout the time I was watching it, I kept forgetting that it was live, which is so impressive. There are a lot of Cinderella remakes, but I think my favorite out of all of them has to be Ever After with Drew Barrymore. It doesn't have all the glitz and glamour, it's more of a serious take, but it is such a great movie. This version again was also great. There's really nothing that Julie Andrews could touch that won't be gold. She is everything. That is going to be it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Ciao.